Let's get started, Scott, with what's going on in the Middle East right now. Anthony Blinken's visit and the outcome of this visit, and what is he trying to do, in your opinion?
I think we're involved in a very delicate balancing act taking place that's designed to do a couple of things. Preserve Benjamin Netanyahu's political viability as the Israeli prime minister and prevent a broader regional conflict. What makes this difficult is that in order for Benjamin Netanyahu to retain viability, he has to be seen as A, being a wartime leader, and B, pursuing policies designed to win wars, not acknowledge defeat. The Americans who are pushing for a ceasefire are pushing for an outcome, a ceasefire, that would be the political ruin of Benjamin Netanyahu. So to offset the political consequences of accepting a ceasefire, which I believe eventually Israel will have to do, Netanyahu is engaged in very dangerous provocations regionally that promote him as an aggressive defender of Israeli security. This is why he carried out the assassinations in Beirut and in Tehran, and this is why Israel continues to carry out aggressive, bombing attacks in Lebanon, Syria, and elsewhere. This allows Netanyahu to say that I have not surrendered. I am defending Israel's national security, but doing it in a way that doesn't automatically provoke Hezbollah or Iranian response. I mean, I think most people believe that there will be a Hezbollah or Iranian response, but the fact that it's taken this long implies that both Hezbollah and Iran are weighing the risks associated with such a response and maybe seeking to mitigate the scope and scale of this response in a way that enables them to resolve domestic political criticism that they've allowed Israel to get away with literal murder without provoking Israel to carry out an even larger counterstrike. So it's a very, very delicate game being played that involves domestic Israeli politics, domestic American politics, domestic Iranian politics, domestic Lebanese politics, and good old-fashioned geopolitical posturing.
Yeah. Here is what Anthony Blinken said during this visit, Scott.
The first is to reaffirm the commitment of the United States to Israel's security. That's a commitment that we put into practice virtually every day since October 7th, including when Israel was attacked directly by Iran back in April. In recent weeks, given the heightened tensions, we have deployed additional assets to the region. The purpose of the deployment of these assets is not to provoke aggression, but rather to deter it, to make sure that it doesn't happen, but also to make clear that if it does, we are fully prepared to defend Israel. We've coupled this effort with an intense diplomatic campaign, virtually a global diplomatic campaign, working with countries around the world to send the message strongly to every concerned party not to take any steps that would escalate tensions, that would risk provoking a wider conflict. And this, too, has been something we've been working on from day one, since October 7th. It's been one of our primary objectives, to prevent the conflict from escalating, from spreading in other places. And so this coupling of our military commitments, our security commitments, with an intense diplomatic campaign is something that I'm pursuing on this trip, again, with the intent of making sure that we deter further conflict, but that we're also clearly prepared to defend against it if it comes. But what's most crucial now is that everyone refrain from taking any actions that could fuel further conflict, escalate tensions, and result in the spreading of violence and conflict.
Yeah. The question is, Scott, when he says that we are ready to defend Israel, but at the end of the day, what's mattered the most is how they are trying to convince Netanyahu to go after some sort of ceasefire, because that would be the most important solution for this conflict in Gaza, not Iran and Israel, because it's a production of this conflict.
First of all, we have to understand that when the United States says that, or when the Biden administration says that America will defend Israel, they mean just that, defend Israel. That does not mean that America will participate in Israeli offensive actions against either Hezbollah or Iran. And I think that's one of the unspoken realities of this situation that the United States is communicating directly to Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel, that the U.S. will be there if Iran chooses to attack Israel, to retaliate for the Israeli assassination that took place in Tehran. But that if Israel chooses to extend its operations into Iran to launch a major counterstrike, that the United States will not participate, that Israel will be very much on its own, that Israel has put itself in this situation and the United States isn't going to get it out of it, that we will defend Israel, but we won't participate in any offensive action. And I think this is a big card that's being played because, to throw out an example here, right after the assassination, Russia flew in many flights of advanced surface-to-air missiles, S-400s, electronic warfare equipment, radars, etc., that have significantly upgraded Iran's defensive capabilities. This changes everything about the Israeli attack profile. Whatever attack plan that Israel had to strike Iran now has to be significantly modified to take into account these new weapon systems. And Israel may, in fact, not have the capacity to launch meaningful attacks that can defeat this new enhanced defensive posture of Iran. And so the combination of the United States saying, we're not going to help you out to attack Iran, and Iran upgrading its defense has hampered Israel's response potential, limited their options. And so, this is something that all parties are taking into account, to include, I believe, Iran, which will seek to strike Israel. Iran must, but will do so in a way that, doesn't create an imperative that Israel must respond meaningfully, that hopefully that this thing can, go away, just like what happened